Now, I'm delighted to welcome along to the club chairman, Brian Brogan. Brian, you're very welcome along.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for all that you're doing and the very hard work.
Oh, no bother, no bother. So we're looking forward to this weekend, obviously. Different from previous years, but I suppose we have to make the best of what we've got.
That's right. This is certainly a unique one for us. We haven't seen nothing like this, and hopefully we won't see anything with it like this for a long time, because we're all sort of waiting to get back in action and back at rallying, and that's what we all love, and that's what we really want to be doing. It's just it's painstaking at this point now, trying to get the next weekend over to say that it's finished. And
So what was it that lit your fire initially about rallying? Obviously coming from Letterkenny, the rally was happening every June. Was it that got your interest started?
We've been from Letterkenny. It was very, very hard to avoid it. Anyhow, it was there from a very early day, I suppose. Back in the early days when we were young fellas running about at the mountain top, at the time it was James McDade, I would say, that fired most people up, the late James McDade, because at that time he would have been terrorising the roads for probably a month before, maybe 2 months at times, with testing out cars and up and down where we lived and that. And you wanted to go to watch them testing, and you always had the bug after that, to be honest, from wherever we were fit to drive. And I suppose we were driving before we were allowed to drive at all too at that point, but it was all go. Once you heard those rally and tacked at all, then you were looking to get away, to get watching, and it was worse then to start. I did rally a bit way back in the early days, but I suppose funding was the biggest issue, Kevin. At that point, I couldn't afford to rally at all, and that's why I would understand well where young people are coming from today and at this time, because it's very expensive today, but it was very expensive that day too.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I come back at it again in 2003 or so again, you know what, it was a bigger bug then at that point, so
yes.
Never left it since.
No, it's a dangerous bug to get a hold of, isn't it?
That's right.
But as well as the competing side of things, you become a member of the Donegal Motor Club, and that progressed. You're now the chairman. This rally is huge. We love it here in Donegal, but it's much bigger than just Donegal. It's around the country and beyond, really, isn't it?
It's a massive animal of an event itself, and to be fair, it's known all over the world. There's anywhere you go that anybody that talks about rallying knows exactly what you're talking about when you mention Donegal. It's people talk about Donegal that never was in the county at all themselves, and they would always like to be there, and they would always be watching what's going on. They always look forward to it. They always want to know what's going on about it and where the changes are going to be and what's happening next, and all great hunger, great enjoyment. Donegal, Letterkenny it's a good enjoyment hub for the rally, for the event over that weekend, and people come at once and they have to keep coming back and back.
Yeah, as Killian has said about it before, it's more than a rally. It's like a carnival atmosphere about it, and that's just fantastic to see, isn't it? Really. So.
That's right. That's true. People live here and they take the family, and then they come back again numerous times during the year, and there was a lot of repeat people coming back here, and some people built holiday homes, and there's some people came here and stayed, and they're still here, and now they are Donegal people, which is fantastic too for us being from the county. It's huge, and Donegal being such a big county, people from all over. I mean, there's basically, you could say, 3 counties in Donegal, the way that it's split and spread, and people think when we're in Donegal that we should know everybody on the top of Malin Head and then everybody get over, but it's not the case. You'll know some, but you don't know everyone. It's a massive county, and it's fantastic too to be from it, to be honest.
Yeah, and the weekend of the rally, it's not even Letterkenny that's booked out. It's practically the whole county. You won't get a B&B or a hotel room for love nor money, because they're basically booked from year to year.
That's right. I remember being up at it was a Fáilte Ireland seminar that we were doing in Dublin at the time. It's back a few years now, and they were just doing a survey on the relation to the bed nights and the capacity that they had, and everything was booked out all around the county that they had available at that time was fully booked out, and it come then to where people were staying, and the likes of the B&Bs, and they had a small number of B&Bs at that point, and then the hotels and guest houses and everything that was there, hostels, was all fully booked out, and then it come down to 15% they had included in their 100% of their survey, and it was to be other. So I remember asking the question, what was the other? What did they count as other? And they stated that it must be tents or staying in cars or whatever they do, but there was 15% of it that was over and above that they couldn't accommodate, that were actually staying in the county as well for the travellers that were there on a survey that they actually done on the revellers that were there for the weekend. Which is amazing too, that we know that a lot of them stay in cars and have stayed in cars for years. Like.
And and then you get the day trippers that come as well, that don't even stay as well. So
that's right.
They're all going into cafes, petrol stations, whatever they're spending their money. It's such a brilliant thing for the county.
I will remember back at one time when the survey was done, and they had an estimation of between 25 and 30 million that come into the county over the period of the 3 days that the festival, they call it the festival, was on. It's huge, it's massive. There's nothing in the Northwest would take in that amount of money at any one time or even over the year for some of the events to be at, compared to I think some of the biggest, and that survey was done, I think it was maybe the Volvo race in Galway that was the next at that time. That yacht race that was on in Galway was the closest to exactly what Donegal International was at that time. I remember even on the same survey, it was funny when you're there and you're listening to it all, but they talked about the numbers and the amount of money that was being spent, and that's one of the things that angers me slightly, because there would be coming into Donegal, there's probably in around over €120,000 would come in per annum, and we don't get 15% of that. But some of the other festivals wouldn't have 15% of our crowd. But it's strange, so the same amount of money is going to, I think it was an orchestra in Wexford, and I couldn't believe we were sitting in and we were calling out Donegal International Rally, and then up at us beside an orchestra in Wexford that there was 400 people, had 400 friends on Facebook at the time. but it's interesting the way it falls in. It's just the motorsport doesn't just, it didn't tick all the boxes. You get that point,
And going back to the rally, like when we have stages like, Fanad, Knockalla, Atlantic Drive, stages that are just absolutely spectacular to view for that audience worldwide. Like when you see the TV coverage, it just blows your mind, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's when you do see it on TV, Kevin, that you realise how good a place you're living in. To be honest, we're used to that, and we're looking at it from every day of the week. We're looking at that sort of scenery. But to be honest, when you see it on TV, it really opens your eyes as to where you really do live and how good it looks, and when you sit back and watch it, it's completely different to when you're sitting in and you're belted up and your helmet on and you're just thinking about trying to get to the finish line. That's what you're playing at there. But to be fair, some of the scenic and the views areas that we have is fantastic and second to none, to be honest with you. Best in Ireland.
That's for sure. That is for sure. And this rally, as you say, whenever you're in that car, you're belted up, you're just focused on what's ahead. But the friendships that's developed out of that, like that's a huge part of the rally too. Yes, we all love the roar of the engines, but the friendships made over and beyond and sitting in the car, it's the stage ends, round service, the park firmas, or whatever. The crack is just, it's magical there too, isn't it really?
Well, there's a real good bunch of fellas there, and the modified anyway, in particular, to be fair, there, and everyone helps out one another, and there's a good bit of slagging goes on too. Like it's a case that if some man, if you had or you spun or something, like you don't get away with saying a spun. Like there's always some man will be fit to tell you, well, how long you done more than that or whatever else. If you'd leg out of bed somewhere or whatever, they'll be fit to tell you. But there's still no, if there was something wrong, they would be the first there to help you too. I remember back we went out to Glen on a Sunday morning. I had to retire that time, and the car goes in earth. It turned out to be an earth in the car anyway. But we're heading out for loads of Cranford, and it was Aidan Hillington who came in behind, and he actually pushed his own car into the back of my car. And he didn't get out or didn't busted the grill and the headlight and stuff, but it didn't really matter because he wanted to get me on to get to the start of the stage, which was fantastic too, and good comradeship to prepare for a Sunday morning to get started. But unfortunately, it wasn't for us that time. We didn't start that Sunday. We had to go to the rally because of that. But that was all, and we'd do the same for him. To be fair, there's good grips, and you would be sharing wheels and doing whatever needs to be done just to get them there for the crack. And you want to see them at the end too. And everybody loves to win, but at the same time, everybody just likes to get to the end of it too and have a crack. And it's all about the social aspect of it then again, whenever the thing is over, that everybody's there for the crack and the slag. And if it all went well, nobody was nothing to slag about. You need to have someone to slag about too. and it mightn't be all the truth, but it gets a laugh going anyway, which makes it all the better.
The slides get wilder and the jumps get higher, don't they?
That's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens.
And pardon the pun, but the National Rally in Donegal has become the jewel in the crown of Irish rally. It's the one.
Oh, you said it. Well, I know too well. It is certainly not easy clinched now. There's no doubt about that. I got led it a couple of times, but that's as far as it went. I never was lucky enough to capture it at all. But it was good. It's good to get to the finish. A lot of times, regardless, it's a marathon in its own right, and to be fair, where you come when you get to the ramp on Sunday evening doesn't really matter. To be honest with you, it's all part of the festival, really.
And then looking at the international field, in 2019, the last year it ran, you had Craig Breen and Sam Moffat, stepped away from their championship aspirations as such to compete in a world car. It means that much to them that they want to come there to win that rally as well. That just that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
It does. That says its own. That just shows you the value of the event that you have whenever them people they're looking to do the like of that, because they know it only comes around once a year, and when you're getting to the month of June, everybody is at your feet, and you don't want to be talking about it in July. You like to do it when it's there, because it only comes around at the odd time. You have to get the opportunity and grasp it and go for it, and everybody likes the one. Donegal is the one. It's the one you need to win, regardless about the championship. If you're successful in Donegal, you can go to any town. That's the way that they look at it.
Yes, and hopefully, God willing, and this COVID thing starts to behave itself. The 50th anniversary in 2022. That's going to be a big one.
Oh, it will. It'll be massive. Now, if all goes the way it's going, we should be lucky enough now to get a run into it. And from the beginning of the year on, we'll be prepping again for the 50th anniversary, and it'll be interesting to see which people will come out now and try and do it for the 50th and stuff, because it's always important that somebody likes to put down the marker and say, I want to do this. And if you go back to the 40th, where we had Vincent Bonner and Seamus McGee coming out, and the wee things like that, you just never know who shows their hand and comes out and makes it happen. It's all part of the crack too. It's part of the journey for everyone to make it happen, and it revitalizes a lot of people there. Yeah, James Cullen come out there a few years ago too and done his bit. It's great to see that. Great to see people that was there, and they were our heroes back in the day. So it's great to see that they're about, and they didn't take up golf or nothing like it, unfortunately. they had to keep for the petrol all the time.
They can't shake it either. And
that's right.
And whenever we consider, we've had Ari Vatanen, Colin McRae, and Sebastian Loeb, 3 world champions, as graced their stages at some point. That just speaks volumes for the event as well, And Colin come after he had won, Vatanen before, but Loeb at the time was the current world champion, and they didn't get it easy.
No, that's right. It wasn't simple for him at all, and he accepted that. And then, listen, they tried hard. They wanted to be sure to win that event, and then they did a lot of setting up the car, and even over the weekend, they were spending a lot on it to make it happen. So he did master it in the end, to be fair to him, and as you would expect from a world champion of the day, you would expect that from him. And the best driver, I'd say, for a long, long time. So it was fantastic to have him here now. And indeed, that weekend that he was here, there was a lot of other talent there too. It was great to have them, and fantastic for them all to live the life in Donegal and enjoy that event. It was fantastic for every one of us, for them to be there.
Yeah, if I often say, have the football analogy, it's like playing in the same team as Lionel Messi or whatever. You're driving the same stretcher road as the world champion. You might be in car 125, but you're every bit as important as that.
That's for sure.
That's
for somebody who's there, they can say, "Well, I started that year." So that is a marker. There's no doubt about it. He wasn't here every year, but they started that year. It was remarkable how many people that had fun with him that day, and the days in sign on and the Mount Errigal and that when they ran, and I noticed they were very plausible of him. He's lovely, a gentleman, nice to talk to, and all the rest. And then when they got a few steps away, they said, "Geez, he's not big, is he?" That's the line they used. Which was true enough too. He wasn't big, but a gentleman, to be fair.
And he seemed to take on, he seemed to enjoy the banter and all too. You know, before he come to Donegal, we always had this impression he was a wee bit of a robot, almost kind of, you know, very methodical. But when he come here, we seen he had a wee sneaky smoke and he enjoyed his coffee and whatever as well too. You know, he becomes more human.
He seemed to be on holiday when he was here. He seemed to enjoy himself anyway. When he was out and about and he could look around him and all too. It was great, fantastic to have him at the time. It was great memories, no doubt, great memories that time.
But well, as they hopefully all been well, we'll be back on the stages in 2022, celebrating the 50th and looking forward to the next 50.
Oh, indeed, it will happen. Oh, it'll all come good again, Kevin, too. I suppose it'd be wrong of me to be on here tonight with you without mentioning the loss of Danny Gormley. Danny was a great man for Donegal Motor Club, and he was a timekeeper. He organised a lot of stuff for our events, and he was COC for the events, and big man at the hill climbs, and he'll be a huge loss now, no doubt, for all of the team that are around for the international. Danny will be a huge loss for them. I just thought I would mention it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But it's important to mention the sad loss for Danny.
Yeah, because he'll be greatly missed. Like as you say, he done such a vital role and done it in a very unobtrusive way. He just went about his business and got it done, didn't he? You know,
absolutely. He was very, very thorough too, Kevin. Everything that was there, he done it. He was a team player as such. He didn't. It wasn't all about Danny. Danny would have been looking after his chores first, and he knew he could look after them. He knew well he could do whatever had to be done there, and then he'd be looking after if you were doing a chore, I was doing a chore, whatever was there. He'd be around the back then to be sure that you could get it all done, and he would raise it then again in a manner that we could get it done in a quiet way. Right. You know, he knew every role that was there because he carried out all them roles himself. He was very, very capable of dealing with every chore that anybody had. So he knew what was outstanding, and he would have addressed it in his own quiet way. It would have been done, and he would have had your back all the time. Like he was a great man. He was sadly missed now, no doubt. Sadly missed.
For sure. So, Brian, I think that there is a nice place to wrap it up, isn't it? And hopefully we'll catch up with you soon, and we'll see you on the stage. It's all been well.
Good man, Kevin. Thank you very much for all you have done, and from all on Donegal Motor Club. Now you're fantastic help, and it's great to see the interest you have in the thing. And there's no doubt you'll go.
I'm absolutely delighted to welcome along Eamon Barrett. Eamon, you're very welcome.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Eamon, you've been sponsor of the rally now through your business Joule now for the last number of years. What has Donegal brought to your business? We've seen the numbers it's hitting around the world. The coverage it's getting. Between Out on the Limit Sports, Killian, Highland Radio, all these different outlets. Does that all feed back to your business?
Yeah, look, I suppose we said this a lot of times. It's quite hard to quantify, Kevin, what it actually does for the business on the ground in sales. But I suppose we are a business that started literally from nothing. And when you're starting from nothing, clearly you can go one way up or down, but we thankfully went a little bit up. And on that, then we've always tried to create a form of a brand, I suppose. And what Donegal does for that is that it puts us out across UK and further afield. So for the week coming up to the rally and at the rally itself, it gets the brand and the name out there. And I suppose we're in a marketplace whereby a lot of the products we manufacture and sell are going into homeowners, are going into people's houses.
Okay.
And the more we can get our name and our brand in front of the general public, be in any way we can, it's a benefit. And I can't genuinely tell you what it's actually done for the business. I can only look at what the business has done itself. And you can say that Donegal and the rally and sponsoring of it has contributed to our movement forward. So I do know that on a construction side of the industry where we supply into these people and our customers, the amount of times our lads, and me included, will get that, oh yeah, you're the company that supplies or sponsors the rally. So that gives us the impetus to see that it does well, and that it's not a waste, let's call it a waste of time, or it's not something that is going on deaf ears. It appears to do very well for us. Our main business is the UK, and a lot of our decent customers in the UK would associate the rally with us, and that's obviously what we want. So in overall terms, it's certainly a positive, and I'd like to think that so far it's been a success for us and for the club.
Absolutely, because it's taken the rally. The rally has always been at a very high level, but it's taken it to a higher level again. Because we think of Killian Duffy always says you know, it's become more than a rally. It's almost like a festival, you know, and like it's more inclusive. It's not just the, you know, the rally heads. There's a family atmosphere about for the week nearly at this stage.
Yeah, and like the thing is, if you look at marketing now and advertising in Europe is really tricky, and to get in front of so many people through social media, through Killian, through all the different Facebook outlets, through Instagram and all that. Like, we have a team that works here in Joule looking after that stuff on a day-to-day basis. So it's really, really tricky, and a slight minefield, if you want to call it, to get it right, to get the same content out to the right people, and you hit the right audiences. And thankfully with the rally, a lot of the people, as you say, it is a festival type atmosphere, and there's a lot of people in the age bracket that we've done our research internally on this that will or should be in the near future buying or building a house, and therefore may be purchasing our product.
Yes.
And that obviously is a dynamic that really interests us. And these are the sort of things that probably years ago I didn't really think about, but the market has massively changed. And now it like we can see where and what age group people buy our products at. And there's two age groups. There's the older people who will retrofit or renovate their house because they're in it 20, 30 years. And there's the market that are building a house, or there's a scheme of houses being built by a developer. And they're the two sort of cohorts of people we supply to. And both of them, you would like to say, are at the rally in some way, shape or form. Yes. So far so good. And only with this pandemic that's held us up, hopefully we'll get going again at some point next year and do some more good work.
Hopefully. And like, you know, you've rallied yourself to, you know, great success. And like, you know, you're growing up with your uncle and your dad both rallying. Was Donegal always on the calendar, I suppose? You know, was an event you followed then even in your younger years?
Yeah, for sure. I can't remember the first time I went to Donegal, but it has to be, I don't know, I'd say it was like 90s.
Okay.
Like, I remember my uncle Kevin driving I think it was a 3-door Group N car. But that would have been, he'd remember, I think it was 90. Do you remember when Alistair McRae was over in the Shell Scholarship?
Yeah, so that's probably 94, 95.
Yes, so I would have been like 12 or 13 at the time.
Okay.
I can remember back to that point. That was probably one of my first years. I remember sitting on the road, out to Derry Road, around on Grainon, in a van. That's my first memory of Donegal, for what that's worth.
Yes.
And then Kevin actually done the rally. My uncle done the rally quite a few times, I'd say. I don't know how many. But he got some really good results in the S8 World Car sometime in the 2000s. And I would have been doing gravel notes and stuff for him back then, but I was still quite young, as you know. And then, of course, my own career sort of, I rallied in 06, 07 and then stopped and started the business. And I really didn't come back rallying then until 2016, 17. But my first year was a complete failure doing Donegal. Was it 17?
Yeah.
I think it was 17. And I got half a pay into the first stage. And the gearbox went. So that was the end of that. But it was, it was a super experience. And I suppose you could say I was hooked really, because even though I was at the rally for years and went out on the town before and after with the lads, when I actually in 17 done it for the first time myself, I suppose you could definitely say it was a different experience altogether. And even though I only done half a stage, which was even pretty worse, but at the end of it, it only gave me the interest to come back. And of course, look, you know better than anybody else, the National is it's a tricky place to be.
I pardon the pun, but it's the Joule of Donegal, isn't it? You know, so.
It's just and it was probably something that, because we only got one stage in 17, we'd done a good bit of preparation in 18 before then. Even though time is fairly stuck for me with rallying, I can't remember what I done, but I was coming into it probably as a complete outsider, because I really hadn't had any good results in the car. The car was giving us a lot of trouble mechanically. But it had come together I think we had done Carlow, and I think we were leading and then broke down. So I think the speed was coming, but it wasn't there yet in results. And I'll never forget coming off the first stage in 18, and Paul McGee, he says, geez, that was a good time. And I was like, it wasn't really. And he says, it was, and he was. I can't remember what the first stage was, but I remember coming down to Killian and he looked at me twice. And he said, you sure that's right? I was having a clue. And he says, go on, we'll check it. And then that was really it. That was the the go for the weekend, and we didn't lead on Friday night, as you probably know.
Damien Turish and yourself were having a mighty battle. Like, it was tense a second, and it wasn't it, you know.
And we done that stage. What's the stage he's local to? Is it Gary? Not Gary Gort.
Carrick Mountain, isn't it?
Yeah. And it was absolutely steaming with rain on the Friday. I'll never forget it. And geez, with some serious runs. He was obviously flying. And then on Friday night he had a problem, I think, and he didn't start on Saturday.
Yes.
And from there on, then it was trying to manage it, and I didn't know any of the stages because I'd never done them before. So, in fairness to Paul McGee, he would know the area well, and he kept me on my toes. But jeepers, it was brilliant.
Because then you're into Kevin Gallagher country and equal cars and all that too. And like, Kevin's not an easy competitor to keep at bay. Kevin kept chipping away, and then you took a wee bit of time back. You know, at Seesaw, like, you had about 30. I think it was 35 seconds, and Kevin brought it back to 25, then it went back up to 30. You know, it seesawed like that, and like, it was a different kind of tussle.
Yeah, I buried myself. We went flying into a chicane. That was what happened on the Saturday in Brian Brogan's homes. What's his home? Is it Thurman?
Garton.
No, it wasn't Garton.
Garton, another one you're talking about there.
Anyway, I can't remember. I'm terrible. Anyway, I completely. Totally my fault. Paul called everything correctly, and I came down way too fast into a chicane, and I was in the chicane before I braked. And I never forget, there was two boys standing on a hedge, and I buried the two bales up the road. And with Darian, obviously the rad is sitting out on the front on its own. There's no real protection, and I was positive we'd bust the rad. But we spun around, and I was positive we were out, and we luckily, Paul McGee tell me 2 seconds what stage it was, but we were at the end of the stage, luckily, and we came out the end, and lo and behold, it wasn't burst, which was we struck the luck really in the rally, because an inch left or right and the rad was gone, you know. And got out the end of the stage, and the other stroke of luck was we were going back to Milford for service. So I take and we changed the bodywork, and I think we didn't change the rad, but we checked everything around it. And then Kevin took a lump out of it. Oh no, what happened was Robert Barrett went off in Knockalla then in the afternoon, if you remember, up in top. And he brought, it wasn't his fault, but he brought a load of rocks and stuff out. Joe McGonigal and a few people got punctures. And I hit a rock size of a football. And that was the other stroke of luck, because I was the in-car, if you ever, I haven't seen it since ages ago, but I was positive after I hit the rock that was a puncture. Like, I absolutely milled the rock. And I was like, I said to Paul, I said, that's it, we're done. And Joe McGonigal was down the end of the hairpin left in Knockalla, changing a puncture. I think Johnny Greer was as well.
That's right. I think there was two of them. You're right. I
don't know how we didn't get a puncture. I really don't. So I didn't have much luck up until then, but I think I got it all that weekend. And then that was it. Kevin went at me hammer and tongs all day, and then on Sunday, I think it was wet again on Sunday, and it was just, it threw everything at us really. But poor car was in bits at the end. I always remember when we brought the car home, like, every bit of the stuff was bent. All the body work was like, I drove the heart out of it for 3 days. And I made a few mistakes, completely my fault, but to stay on the pace with Damien on the Friday and then the other lads on the Saturday, that was what you had to do. And you have to have luck. And we didn't have luck coming up to, but we got our luck that weekend, and that was fantastic. I like, you know, this, you know, like rallying, there's so much preparation goes into it. I suppose in some ways you make your luck too as well, because, you know, the preparation's key. If the car's strong and all that, it all helps too as well, doesn't it? You know? And like, I've always said this, we probably don't do ourselves any favors, because we sort of run the car ourselves, and we've always sort of learned from mistakes and sort of made mistakes along the way. And my dad and Joby run the car for me, and Mark Smith helps us out with other bits. But like, then we'd no luck in 19. Well, no one had luck in 19 really, but in 19, what did we do on Friday?
Yeah, it was very grovelly, wasn't it? The junctions and all. Yeah, the Darians were struggling a wee bit.
It was over them new stages I've never seen them done. It was just a struggle all day. But in the afternoon, I drove very badly really all day, and I never really got settled. And who was leading? Oh, Ryan Loughlin was leading Friday night, wasn't he? but I think I got him down to second or something like that. And it was actually the same time. I think Paul said this to me before. I think we were exactly the same time behind Ryan Loughlin on Friday night as we were in Damien Thurst the previous year.
Yes.
Which is mad. So, and then on Saturday, what happened on Saturday? On Saturday, I think we took the lead on Garton, as far as I remember.
Yeah. The first run on the Garton didn't happen then. The second.
Then Ryan Loughlin went into a chicane like I did the previous year. He took the chicane out of it in Knockalla. The first go over it. And I think we had the lead up to, it probably was only like 10 or 15, 20 seconds, something like that. But I was driving harder than I probably liked or wanted to on the Saturday. And it was so dry and warm, and it was on the door handle, really, as they say. But anyway, second run through Knockalla, we got comfortable and we were happy enough, and the ECU went into safe mode.
Right.
But worse things happened afterwards, unfortunately. But that was the end of us. But that was same thing, really enjoyable, and the battle is it's immense. It is absolutely immense, and there's just no second given anywhere from these lads.
No, and whenever the clock's ticking, I've said this to all the guys, from the clock's ticking, you'll do everything to gain that second. But between the stages and all that, there's always great banter and great rivalry between you, the slagging and all. But if you need a toe into service or you need it apart, they'd be the first boys to be pull something off their own car nearly to get you sorted, wouldn't they? So.
Yeah, for sure. Like in 18, I won't mention names, but one of our main competitors we helped him in, and he towed in twice. And I just said, look, we're going to win or lose on the stages, like in between.
That's what matters, yeah.
Yeah. And I'd be firmly of that opinion. Like, it wouldn't bother me in the slightest. But look, you'd miss it, I suppose. We had a wee mishap in the start of 2020 in Barrett. I've been on a bit of a road to recovery ever since, and thankfully I'm 99% there now. Good. But it's been a bit tricky since all the lockdown for me, and thankfully Paul was okay, but I wasn't. But I'm back on now. But who knows? Hopefully next year we'll get back on.
Yeah, and you've dabbled a wee bit in the World Car. Could you see yourself? Will you go back to the national? Would you like to go maybe for the overall one maybe at some point?
Oh, I don't know, Kevin. Like, I actually listened to Sam Moffat on something recently, and I think he summed it up really well. And I'm certainly not at Sam Moffat's level, but like, I rally to enjoy it. It's a hobby, and some of these guys that are doing it now are effectively semi-professional. So I don't know what level they need to go to, or they do go to compete. I just don't know. I don't know what to do next. I actually don't want to go back. Not that I don't want to. I think I've done enough in the national, from my point of view, that there's not much more to do. I would love to do something else. I suppose I have an issue with the left-hand drive, that I've never done anything left-hand drive, and I don't know. I suppose I'd have to think about it. Ultimately, I'd love to do Donegal again, and to do that, obviously, to compete at the main level, you need to be left-hand drive in an R5 car. So I don't know. I haven't really thought too much about it, but definitely I'm probably done with the national, just because I'd like to move with the crash now. The car's repaired and whatever, but likely we'll sell that, and then I suppose I enjoy the World Car, but really that's not the future,
No. Like, to be realistic, we have to look at R5s, don't we? Really, so.
Yeah. And I don't actually think anyone's going to really compete much more in World Cars anyway.
No.
I know I was speaking to Donagh recently, and he was saying that he probably would bring out the R5 now before the Focus. So I think there's a few people like me who are probably in modified or national and maybe would like to step up to an R5, but it's probably holding them back because of the left-hand drive issues. But look, we'll see. I'm not going to do anything this year. I'm going to wait till the new year and see what happens. But it's holding me back because I could probably buy a car now, but I'm not, because I don't know what's happening.
What rules coming in or what's not coming in yet?
Yeah. But please God, I'll be in something in Donegal next year.
Yeah. So Ian, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. As I say, thanks, fingers crossed. Now we'll catch up then somewhere on the stages soon.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
I'm absolutely delighted now to welcome along Eamon McGee. Eamon's been clerk of the course now for probably more years now than he cares to remember. Eamon, you're very welcome along now at this stage.
Well, Kevin, thank you for the offer, for asking me to come on.
Even like, yeah, you'd always a draw towards rally, and you know, you competed back in the day too.
We did. Well, the last time probably I done Donegal was 2000. The millennium year. I mean, we done that year. Well, we did a couple of years before that, but we never got to the finish line. But that finished that year. I remember getting a wee thing off Danny Caddy at the end of a stage, and where was it? It was just outside of Iskaheen. Right. That was the last stage in the international. You know, and I mean, a wee glass bowl for competing the event. Good to have it, you know.
Absolutely. And then, you know, you started then helping out, volunteering along the way, and you know, worked your way up through the club and taking on the reins of COC 2010, 2011 was it you took over the reins?
Well, 2011 I took over from Danny Gormley. But I'd done a COC in Guidor in 2005. Okay. I've been probably a committee member in Donegal since 2002, and helped along from that was the first when we came on in 2002. We started helping out. I haven't competed much since. So it's just helping out and doing. Been at most rallies and between that as well, Kevin. Yes.
You know. And you know, the role you took on in 2010 is it a role you enjoy? Like, obviously, it must be when you stuck at it for so long.
I did enjoy it. I do enjoy it, and I do enjoy it because, first of all, it's the team that we have around me. You know, from we built up, and well, I kind of took it over from Danny Gormley, and we took over the team, and it was always a pleasure working with them, and it's easy work with them, like, you know, and it was very satisfactory to be. You know, every year you just looking forward to go on to the next year again. You know.
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned Danny Gormley there. You know, we can't go on any further without mentioning Danny sadly passed away last month. It'll be a great loss to yourself and the whole club.
Danny will be a great loss to not only to Donegal, to mostly every club that he was being involved in. You know, he is a big loss to motorsport in general. Like, you know, now he was my wingman from 2000. He sat with me through all the years that I done COC in Donegal. So, which, you know, and it definitely will be a loss to me, and it'll be a big loss to the club as well.
For sure. Because he was a steady pair of eyes, wasn't he?
He was a steady. He was, you know, Danny, very thorough, and anything he done and anything he took on, you were sure, you know, you only told him the once what had to be done, it was done, and that was it. Like, and he was always reminding you this need to be done and that need to be. Get your wee phone call maybe off him, you know, tomorrow's date is the last date for this, or you know, just keep you on your toes all the time. Like.
Yes. And then, you know, like in them 9 years, what has been your highlight of the events then?
Well, probably looking back on it, like there were a couple of highlights, you know, especially the years that we would have had local winners. Like if you go back to you know, Declan won it one year, you know, and then later years then what Manus won it, like, you know, that was a big thing. And 3 years on the trot there, he actually won the 4 because he had the national the year before that, like, you know, you know, so things like that when you have local winners and that, it makes it very, very enjoyable, you know.
And like, you know, what kind of manpower is required to make the event happen? How many marshals is on the ground? You know, what goes on behind the scenes as such?
It's just unbelievable what you know, people don't realize what does required. Like we would be looking at something like up to 300 plus people for the weekend to run the 3 stages on any one day. Like, you know, between, you know, you talk about marshals, but then you have timekeepers, you know, we have tipping crews, you have radio people, you know, that's a team on its own, you know.
Yes.
There's everything has to marry in, you know. You have to have the marshals, they're there, and And we always get well supported with marshals, thankfully, over the years, like, you know.
Yeah. And like that's down to no small part in your own behalf. Yourself and Tony Boyle, you know, travel the country with the timing gear. And isn't it fantastic to see that the clubs appreciate that and repay the debt as such then come June every year? Well,
that's the thing. We did get into that in later years. We went round and it paid big dividends to us, like, you know, because we were getting the top people from every club back in return for that. Like, you know, we went to help their club, but they like, we were only helping one event, but all them other clubs came back and helped us run our big event, you know, that kind of way. So you know, it helped, and it was very hard work at times, Kevin, you know, but
yes.
You know, you were away weekends every weekend, but it was well worth it when come the weekend at international, where you'd see all them faces back standing along the roads helping you out, you know. It's very satisfactory at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah, because I spoke to like Ted Murphy there, Caroline McGuinness, and Derek Cummins, and like, you know, they're not just 2 or 3 people coming. Like Cork, there's coming, I think it's 30 or 40 guys coming up the road. You know, Carlow, the same. Caroline McGuinness bring, you know, a team of 40 across from Tyrone Derry direction. You know, it's fantastic the way it brings people together from all around the country and beyond.
And beyond, like, you know, even we had a couple of years there. We had people over from Wales. A busload come from Wales to help out. You had people coming from England. You know, there's a boy there comes every year on the Wednesday. Bob Bright, like, you know, you know, and he just, you know, he'll do anything, whatever you want to do. Night or day, he sleeps. He works Donegal all weekend. Like.
Right.
And people, you know, and it's their holiday, and it's their, you know, they're looking forward to coming as long as much as we appreciate them coming as well. Like.
Yeah, because it's become such a big event now. Like, as we said before, I think it was Killian said originally, it's become almost like a carnival. You know, it's gone beyond the rally now. There's, you know, the buzz that creates around the whole of Donegal for that weekend.
Aye, well, like, you know, I see it there leading up to, you know, you go to these events maybe 3 or 6, 7 weeks beforehand, and everybody's talking, you know, who's coming to Donegal, who's the entry, we'll be up, you know. And you know, that's good. That's just it's a buzz from April on, like, you know. You know, we it's got very big this last couple of years, like, you know.
Yeah,
and just seemed to be even for competitor wise, like, everybody seems to want to do Donegal or something. It's just you know, no matter who they are, coming from all over the world now to it, like.
Yeah, like, you know, like, you know, we think, you know, the national section of the rally, it's, you know, it's the one that all the you know, the modified guys want to do and compete in and won. It's, you know, it's the gold star. And then even 2019 there, you know, when you think of the likes of Craig Breen and Sam Moffat took, you know, stepped away from their championship aspirations to compete in the World Car to give them a chance to win the rally. That speaks volumes for the event as well too.
It's all about it's the biggest, seem to be the biggest, what everybody wants to achieve, you know, no matter what. They just, you know, they talk about championships, but one in Donegal is a dream for a lot of people, like, you know, and they do put a big push on for it, and we appreciate them coming and treating our event in that kind of way as well. Like.
And, you know, we can't even just, you know, we have to consider there's guys there that's, you know, running maybe 105 in the door or 120 in the door, and like they're every penny they've earned, you know, maybe from January to June, it's all going into making that start run on the Friday morning as well, isn't it?
And that is for sure. Like, I can see it, and we've been working hard with them boys. You know, the people that don't have results, to make sure that you know, we have schemes going in Donegal to try and get people that wouldn't qualify as a result. Then, like, so that they have the chance to do Donegal. And one of the satisfactory things for me is when you come Sunday evening and you see the joy that them boys have even down the field, even the last car to go over the ramp, you know, they're thrilled to bits, like, you know. Yeah. It's the same as winning it for a lot of people. Get a class one, it's something, and it's something else. But even just to compete and finish, it's a big achievement to them.
Yeah, that's what I always admired about you. You were always there at the ramp, and car one, you shook their hand. You know, the last car on the road, you shook their hand. You know, and I think competitors appreciated that too. That you're not just there for the top 5 or 6 and then disappear. You're there for them all. You treat every one of them as equals to, you know.
Well, we would always and working with Danny, and that Danny would be of the same nature. Like that Danny would be put as much help or emphasis into last car as he would for the first car. You know, it just doesn't end with the first car, like or the first 10 or first 20 cars, like, you know. So them boys were driving as hard as they could. And, you know, and they enjoyed the weekend, and I was glad to be part of what their enjoyment was like.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And then I suppose to start to wrap up, has there been lowlights in those years as well as highlights?
There are always lows, like, you know, you always have to have a low point to, you know, you know, and if you want to go the lowest to the lowest is the last year that we had, like, you know, we never got to finish 2019, and we all know, but, you know, unfortunately, you know, how that ended up, like, you know, that was a very big low for me, like, you know, it's still hard to get over that, you know.
Yes.
But, you know, we just have to just push on and see how we have unfinished business to do for the next year that we go out, hopefully 2022. Like.
And have you unfinished business? Would you like to be back in the driving seat then for 2022 and hopefully drive it to the next level again?
I would hopefully bring the team, myself and the team, to come back and do have that unfinished business on 22 and take it back up again to the whatever level that it needs to be. It should not be easy, like, because we're 2-year break, you know, and you know, you don't know how things are going to be pan out in the future. Like, we don't know what's ahead of us at the moment.
Yeah. Well, all we can do is hope for that 2022 that things are a bit brighter and we get back on the stages again.
Hopefully so. Hopefully that we may get maybe before the year's out again. Like, you know, I hope to get. For we do miss the travel. We do miss meeting the people, you know, and different parts of the country, like, you know, you do miss that, like, you know.
So the friendship you've developed over the years as well.
Oh yes, and fucking people, just, you know, you must be meeting them people again on the stages, like, you know.
For sure. Well, Eamon, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we'll catch up soon.
Kevin, thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
I'd like to welcome along now Caroline McGuinness. Caroline, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Kevin.
And you've been coming to Donegal now for quite a few years now, I suppose.
Yeah, I've been coming. I first came to Donegal as part of a team as a marshal. It would have been a crew that was run by Big Slim. Everybody would know him, and he retired through ill health with his back, and I took over the team from him.
Okay.
And I'd say it must be near 15 years I've been working on Donegal events, between marshalling and now running stages on the events.
Yeah, and is that something you enjoy?
Love it. Like, I would say Donegal's my second home. So it is. I love when the international comes up, because at the minute, being a stage commander, I would be up at Donegal doing the PR the weeks before, and posting the stages. I normally have 2 stages on Donegal International, a Friday and a Sunday stage.
Okay.
And would be posting beforehand, doing the whole PR beforehand, going to meetings up there. So I normally love this time of the year when I'll be more or less living in Donegal, you could say, in the run up to the international.
Yeah, and like, you know, like it's not all just about on the day, as you're saying there. Like, there's so much preparation goes in beforehand. Like, it's weeks and months beforehand. It's not just
oh yeah,
on
like
the day.
A few months before it, Eamon McGee would contact me and tell me what my stages are there. As I say, it's normally a Friday stage and a Sunday stage.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get, if they're new stages, I'd get maps of the stages and go up and take a drive around the stage to familiarise myself with the stage. And then PR would start. I'd get the PR letters, and every house has to be called to and spoke to and explained about the running of the stage, and if anybody needs to get in or out, for example, carers, milk tankers, stuff like that, that all has to be organised before the event. And then normally the weekend before the international, that's when I go up and pick up the posts, and myself and a few of my crew post the two stages and have that all ready before the actual event.
Mm-hmm. And then how many of a crew would you normally bring with you?
Normally for the Donegal International, it'd be between 30 and 40 marshals.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's from all over the country. There's guys that come up from Wexford, guys that help me from Kilkenny, a load of people over here, the north, my regular crew, but my biggest crew would be on Donegal International weekend. Friends I've made over the years by going down to their events, and then they come up to help me. Okay. So that my largest crew is always Donegal International weekend.
Mm-hmm. And you have some strong friendships built up then, not just with your crew, but I'm sure you've got a strong relationship now with the people on the stages, the locals.
Yes, for a right few years I would have run the Glen stage, and I got the nickname the Wee Tyrone Woman on the Glen stage. And when I'd be giving them the letters there to, tell them what time the road's closed and that, they'd just say, oh, there's the Wee Tyrone Woman coming again, and what time are you closing us in? And, some of the people would be on a first name basis. Brilliant. And that there, so no, it's lovely to build up them friendships there. And then sometimes if them people are watching stages at other events that that recognize your face and that know you, and I've built up some very, very close friendships that I'll have for the rest of my life, and it's all through rallying.
Oh, brilliant. And it's not just the rally you come up for to Donegal, you've been known to visit off season, I suppose we could say.
Yes, absolutely. I love Donegal, and as I say there, to plenty of people there, if I ever won the lotto, I'd get a holiday home up in Donegal. It's like my second home. Anytime I get a chance, I love to get up there and tour about the different places. And unfortunately, this last year, it's one of the things I really missed with the pandemic and the lockdown is not being able to get up to Donegal. I really did miss that there, because I normally go up right and regular, but I still made a trip up last summer there on what would have been Donegal International weekend. Just took a wee drive around a few of the stages and that, because I couldn't have let the weekend go by without, taking a spin up.
Mm-hmm. And then, we're all looking forward to 2022 now at this stage, hoping we're going to be back to some kind of normality. I suppose you can't wait to get back again?
Can't wait to get back. I'm actually booked for a right few things later on this year here in the north. And MA there, it was a post put up last week there about some MA events, and Donegal Harvest being one of them in October. So fingers crossed everything goes okay and the country keeps opening up a bit, and we hopefully will have an event or two up in Donegal later on this year, if everything goes well.
Hopefully not. Well, Caroline, thank you very much for taking the time to join us, and it's been a pleasure speaking to you, and hopefully we'll welcome you back to Mount Errigal in 2022, if not before.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. I'll look forward to it.
Okay. Derek Cummins, Martin Kerley, and James Lakes. Welcome along, lads.
Well, Kevin, how's it going? Thanks, Kevin.
I suppose, like, the friendship you've built up over the years coming to Donegal is one of them things that goes beyond, goes beyond rallying, really, does it?
It does, yeah. Basically, when we start out, it's like everything. You start from the ground up and you work your way up. But over the years, yeah, the amount of friends we've met and made over the years on the rallying scene, and even Donegal, the amount of people I've met on stages and service and things like that has been very good. Like, and it's been there ever since from day one, and things haven't changed really. We made a lot of good friends, and hopefully it stays that way for the coming future.
For sure, for sure. And James, like, as I say, the friendship is a big part of it for you as well.
Absolutely. We probably have more friends and better friends in Donegal than we even are ourselves, because we'd end up fighting and arguing half the time over certain things that we'd be trying to set up locations and this, that, and the other. But I started going to Donegal about 5 years ago, I think. I've been involved in motorsport for many, many years, but I never got the chance to go to Donegal. And it was the best experience ever, because the people up there are just so welcoming. And from the B&B right through to people at the junctions and the locations, and in the likes of Conway's, of course, in Ramelton for a nice pint in the evening time as well. We're nearly like locals up there at this stage.
Yeah. And sorry, Martin, like, you've been a part of Donegal now for a few years now yourself as well?
I have, yeah. I'm going to Donegal for the last 20 years. Yeah, but maybe 15 years marshalling. And I think I know everyone around Donegal, and they know me. Marshalling and in Glen Village. I have a camper van, and I always stay in Glen Village, and I always help out in Glen Village. And same as James says here, I got into Conway's, now they let me in. So I'm beginning to get to know a few of them places.
Yes, you're well known.
Yes, I'm really well known.
He hasn't gone far to fall out the door and into the camper van into the Conway's, I could tell you.
I'm the same in Glen Village, very much same.
Fall out the back door, roll out into the camper.
And how many of you sisters travel up then?
We would leave on a Thursday at around o'clock, and it would be approximately 15, 16 or something. About that. So we definitely 3, maybe 4 cars going. On the way up, then Martin would leave Cavan, and the usual meet-up spot is the Clonry Hotel on the Thursday with a grub. And we would stay there then and can we go over to the Mount Errigal then and sign on and meet Tony Boyle and the wife, and we get our packages and stuff like that for the weekend. And then we go to Rathmelton to Anne Campbell. Anne has been a fantastic host to us for many years, and that woman there has held the rooms for us and her friend Christine there at Rathmelton, and it's been absolutely outstanding to us here for years in Rathmelton on part of Donegal Rally. And Anne is every January we would make contact and we'd ask what date the rally's on, and she said Derek is coming, and we'd have all the rooms in the house, and Christine would have hers, and basically we're all sorted for Donegal in. That's where it starts really in January, but then it comes into April, and we discuss with Tony Boyle what's happening going forward and where the run stages and progress to be made in from their arrangements and stuff like that. But the journey to Donegal is fun. On Thursday we leave about 1:30, and then it's usually up to Dublin, and Kevin Regan and Kieran Summers would usually meet us in Dublin and Lusk, and we stop there. And we many stops and antics on the way up along the roads. So it could be. Well, it's great, how fun, a great trip and everything. And it's been exciting. It's always the exciting build up to the rally that weekend from the Thursday. And you're right there, Kenny, on the Thursday evening, you just know, right, here we are. let's go, what's going to happen now this week? And no one knows really. Like, same with you, James, you think the same there on the journey, like.
Yeah, and I suppose it's ironic as we come out of a global pandemic, and it's been rough and tough on everybody. But our next trip to Donegal, probably 2022, and Anne has retired out of the business as well. So it's but there's a lot of great memories over the last 5 years with myself and longer with the lads with Anne. You know, it's going to be a huge change. It's going to be great to get back to Donegal and to the rally, but then it's kind of going to be bittersweet, for the want of a better description. Anne won't be our host the next time we're there. And you know, on my behalf, as Derek said already, she's been a great host, and I hope that she has a great retirement, and I really hope to see her in Donegal and meet up with her, just to catch up and have a cup of coffee. Yeah,
isn't it lovely, the relationships that's formed throughout the years? I think that's such an important part of the Donegal welcome, the Donegal rally. It's everybody pulls together, don't they? You know. So.
Yeah, and it reiterates your first question about the friendship that we built up, because that would be a pure kind of sign of the friendship, you know, with Anne as the host. Sure, you're nearly like part of the family when you go in.
Yeah, and year before last, we're around Glen Village. No, we're on Glen Village, and you know, usually there's always one man in charge. Well, I got the call to, you know, to do that, but that didn't matter. There was 13 of us there, and every one of us was equal. As you wouldn't know, if you were driving through, Kevin, you wouldn't know who was a sector marshal. As you know, there's a sector marshal. You wouldn't know who it was, because every one of us, we had a job to do. Glen Village is a big thing. The setting up in the morning. Fair play to Brian Wilson and Caroline McGuinness. They had a lot of the work done, but you only can set it up on the morning of the rally. Of course, you know, the barriers around it and keeping it, and it's a big job. But the thing is, the sector marshal is, what was done was, I asked Brian Wilson to give us, instead of one safety plan, 6 or 7. I handed it out to everyone, so one lad wasn't shouting at the other lad, what do we do here? And there wasn't a word, and everyone, it's a team. Yes. The 13 of us there that year, it was a team effort, not one particular person. I'm not just saying that because it has to be a sector marshal, it has to be someone, but everyone knew what they were doing. And we all, Derek has a set of radios, and everyone was on a radio to each other from one end of the village to the other, right around the corner. Anything happened, we had it stopped, or if anything arose, we had it under control. And that's what I'm saying. We all met, we all know each other, and that's the reason we're all together. The 13 mightn't be together in every rally. In Donegal, the 13 was 13 of us there that day.
And it works like a well-oiled machine, I suppose, is the right way of putting it, isn't it?
It's a purely team effort, and you know, everyone is involved in it like from day one, and that the relation to Glen Village there. We Martin had discussions well before that, what we were kind of doing. We kind of knew what we were going on, because we had been there before and we kind of knew the run of it. And basically, the night before, we all got together in Joe's, in the Communist pub, and we went through the whole thing that night, right previously. So everyone knew then at 8:30 or 8 o'clock next morning what they were doing.
The thing about it is, Kevin, I suppose, as well, is that, you know, we're all licensed marshals. We've all done the training, we've all done the courses. But we've all been on the ground as well, because you can train and train and train, and until you actually get the physical experience at the locations, at the different rallies. So we've all that, and we have trust. We all trust each other, and we know that we're safe with each other because we look out for each other.
Beyond the rally, like as you've alluded to there, you've fun times then as well. I'm sure you've plenty of stories there.
One of the funniest stories was from the last trip that we were there. And of course, Derek had everything planned, and we were doing whatever stage it was, but we had to go to Rathmullen, I think it was, to get the ferry.
Okay.
And we got onto the ferry, and Martin put the camper on it, and we had 3 or 4 cars, and we went across on the ferry, and we got off the ferry at the far side, and Derek said he had got a phone call and that they were okay for marshals on that stage. And we moved on to the next one, and as we were getting to that stage, they rang to say that they were okay for marshals on that stage. And after about 2.5 hours of a guided tour of Donegal, we ended up about 3 miles from where we started that morning going into the state. We had got a ferry. We had drove about an hour and a half, and we had stopped. I think we had 2 breakfasts. We were on the road so long, and eventually we ended up about a mile and a half away from where we set out that morning.
And as you alluded to there earlier, the welcome you get in Donegal too makes it special as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. From, we say, for our organising team, all the people in Donegal, like, you know, the hospitality is outstanding in Donegal. The welcome and everything, you don't get it to many places around Ireland. Donegal is the home really of Irish rallying and things like that. But the welcome in Donegal is outstanding. And I think all of us here have experienced that throughout the world. They're very friendly. You know, you do get taught on, but it is very friendly other than that. They're gents.
Yeah.
On the towers, even like when you go up there, we all go up on the towers, and Derek said, and you go into the hotel in Donegal and you get your stuff, you meet every one of them. Every one of them welcomes you in the rally, you know, and you get the stuff and talk to them and they tell you what they're doing or what has to be done or whatever. And the welcome you get there in Donegal from all in the rally office is unbelievable. They can't help you half enough.
To move on though, even from the organisers, I mean, even, and you know, I know we're laughing and joking about having a pint and this, that, and the other, but when you go down to the likes of Conway's and you're having a pint, you know, the public, apart from the people behind the counter, they're running a business. It's in their best interest to welcome you. But the general public, I mean, if I went out to the smoking area out the back, you'd be chatting to people, and you know, they know you were obviously there for the rally weekend, and the rally weekend is huge revenue to Donegal, and they all buy into it and they treat you well, they welcome you.
And is Donegal like a destination you know you consider going from, you know, for a few days away or whatever as well too? Like it's not just for the rally. You come back again throughout the year.
Well, we've been in Donegal every June, and the thing is with the rally, you get to see a lot of it. Okay, but there's other side that we didn't see. So last year we made a decision. A couple made a decision to go to Donegal for the bank holiday weekend in August, to go and have a look outside of where we usually are around the rallying time. So we did a good bit of traveling last year in August, and it was fantastic to see the other parts of Donegal that we would normally see on a rally weekend, because you wouldn't have time when you go do your job like the marshal and then come back and stuff like that. You know, today is long enough without going out. And Donegal is such a vast county, like, you know, it takes a couple of hours to go out and see stuff like that. Now, the pandemic was in last year, and like, it was not a place we wanted to go see that were closed, that we couldn't see properly. But I have to say, outside of the scenery we've seen up along the Wild Atlantic Way, up along Dunclone, up along there, and into Dunfanny, it's absolutely outstanding, I have to say. And it's definitely a good destination for anyone to go. And it's like to go buy a house in Donegal, it'd be great, because I'd probably live in it. That's the honest truth. It's fabulous scenery up there, I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. No hesitation in going and spending a few days at a leisure, because, you know, as Derek said, when you go up, there's an agenda. The rally is on, you're marshalling, you want to give as much to the club and to the organisers as you can. So you're rushing from one stage to another if you're not on a guided tour trying to find a stage, as we mentioned earlier.
That's right.
But yeah, absolutely. I would and will head for Donegal, hopefully later on this year, and spend a few days up there, you know, at our leisure.
Yes, very good. Well, as I say, Donegal has it all, so...
It has it all.
Yeah. So, lads, thank you very much for taking the time to join us, and hopefully we'll welcome you back into the hills again in 2022, all being well.
Yeah, I just want to say something else there, Kevin. I can see with Manus Kelly here.
Oh, yes, of course.
A big part of us as well, and as everyone else in Irish rallying, and Manus times, like, meet Manus several times, and he was one of the nicest persons you could meet. Yeah. And I had the most respect for him, and, you know, things, and it was a very sad day, that day, getting the phone call, what happened. You know, and everyone in the Irish rallying and family and community was totally shocked. But I have to say, like, you know, he was one of the nicest lads you could ever meet, like, and he never called me Derek, he always called me CS or Carol. It was always when he had a great smile and a great time for everyone, and, you know, it was just, I'd like to mention that there, you know, and the best up to Bernie and the family there in the future coming, like, Very nice man.
Yeah, definitely one of life's gentlemen, wasn't he? There's no doubt about
that. I agree with that, and even now his brother Donald, we've met him on several occasions, and he's just a very, very same and lovely, pleasant man to meet.
Even when we were in Donegal last year there, Bernie met us at the petrol station heading out the Baltic Road.
Yeah.
And she's talking to her, she knew me straight away, like, and chatting there for a long time, and we paid our respects to him at the graveyard and stuff like that. You know, we leaving up and fanning. It's lovely. It was emotional because it brings back so many memories, you know, and things like that. And when it's home night like that, Donegal basically our second home, really. You know what I mean? But the other side of it, Kevin, is like,
No, not at all. No, you couldn't add to that. Looking forward to 2022. We'll be there.
Yeah, the same as that. We're alive and well.
We'll tell you to get off the road. And the yellow flag will be out for you. Don't you know? But the other thing I'd say is big thanks to Eamon McGee and Tony Boyle. They are absolutely outstanding. All the stage commanders that run in Donegal, John Cumsey, Brian Wilson, Caroline McGuinness, all the other stage commanders. But I have to say, with Tony Boyle has been outstanding to us over the years. And I tell you, himself and Eamon McGee runs some show. Yeah. So I say, it's a credit to them what to do every year because it's a big task. But that's what we have to say. We're going to go. We love it, and we hope we are back in the game very shortly on the side of the road, waving the flag or blowing the whistle or some antics to be going up anyway. That's what one sure thing.
Perfect, lads. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks, Kevin.
I would like to welcome along now Ted Murphy. Ted from County Cork. Ted, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Ted, how long have you been coming up to Donegal now to help out?
I think 2013 was the first year I had the courage to journey up there and haven't regretted since.
And is there a few of you travel up together or many coming up the road?
In total, there could be 30 or 40 people from Cork County, from different clubs, travel up. Yeah. Like you fill a car and travel on, and how many ever you get into each car kind of thing, like.
Yes. And it must be some like collective buzz, when you all get together up in Donegal then. And do you just take a stage then and that's just run that stage then, or what would it normally work?
Oh no, we get spread all over the place. Everyone has different jobs. The best place to meet us is in Nora's Bar in Kilmacrehan one night. That's our kind of a usual spot now for us.
That's where you all gather together.
Yeah, and in fairness to Aaron and Nora's, he makes us feel very welcome. Like.
Brilliant. And like, what attracts you makes you want to come that journey up from Cork up to Donegal?
Well, sure, since everyone that can speak knows about rallying, it is Donegal is the place to head, like. And with Eamon McGee and Tony Boyle, they travel the country with their timing gear. So you get acquainted with them, and sure, they make you feel very welcome. And when there's so many other people going from Cork, going up there, you're never alone. And the Donegal Club, then they make you feel very, very welcome. So it's great to go there.
Excellent. And like, the marshals obviously play a very vital role. Like, it has to be remembered. Like, without you guys there on the end of stages, in the middle of stages and service, wherever, like, it's such a vital part of rallying. I'm sure you totally agree with that.
Oh yeah, sure. Like, marshals at the end of the day are the most vital part of the stage. You can run with a competitor list, but you can't run with a marshal list. Like, that is the problem.
Yeah.
And Donegal being such a big rally, the numbers of marshals required above there are enormous. It is a feat to gather bodies for it.
And I'm sure, as the people of Donegal welcomed you, like, do you see the same faces every year when you come back up again?
Oh yeah, there's even out in the stages, you meet, like when Donegal stages being so renowned, you meet the same residents along the same stages, the same spectators coming out, the club members. It is everyone involved with Donegal, no matter what club you're from, you're all made feel very welcome above there. Let it be from Donegal Motor Club, the local towns, the villages, the whole lot. They're just mad about everyone involved with the rally above there.
Yeah, excellent. And like, all been well, we hope to welcome you all back in 2021. I would say, will you be back up the road again if it's all been well?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. There's strong rumours that Donegal might run something before the end of the year. If they do, we'll be on for that as well.
Excellent. Yeah, they're talking about maybe doing something in October time, so we can only cross our fingers and everything else and hope that it comes together. It's strange times. No rally on this year. Like, you know, it's what do we? You know, this is trying to do something to help alleviate the boredom, maybe, I suppose, as much as anything else.
Yeah, it is great that you are keeping this talk of rallying alive, because, you know, there's people not sure what's happening. It's easy to forget about such an enormous event for, we say, rallying and tourism and the whole country in general. Like.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ted, thank you very much for taking the time to join us, and hopefully all been well. If we don't see you in 2021, hopefully we'll see you in 2022.
Yeah, we'll be open. We might even call up to Donegal, just being such a nice area to visit. We might call up whether there's a rally or not.
Yes, when the sun shines, there's nowhere better.
That's it. That is true.
All right, man. Thank you very much for taking the time. Take care.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks a million.